Ahoy. Soup. Hello. Wait. We got the burb. Sup. Today, I had to bring out the lo-fi for this. We're gonna be talking about some very deep topics with, you know, a civil discussion allowed. Playing some game. You already know. I gotta make a new PPE seasonal. New Brawl Legend. Did it come out yet? I know it looks like the burb thing. That burb, that like metal looking burb. Looking like this burb right here. Was it like teased? I could look at it real quick. They're doing a reveal stream. Ooh. Let me see. Let me see.
Gosh, I'm so excited.
Oh,
Hey, chat.
Red Raptor.
I want to see a red.
That's cool. It reminds me of Hold on. Have you ever heard of Beautiful Joe? I think that's the inspiration. There's no way this is not the inspiration. Hold on. I got you real quick. It's a Power Ranger. It's not a Power Ranger. Look, I'll show you exactly. I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Hold on. How do I? Hold on. It is more than a Power Ranger. Oh, Polo, calm down. What's going on? Display capture. Hold on. I got you. Look. Oh no! Go back! Go back! Go back! Go back! Tell me that doesn't look like him. Okay, so you did use to play. And you know that this is that. This is that. Because it's like got the V on the head and everything. Power Rangers doesn't have that V. Like, hold on, let me look at Power Rangers. Yeah, Power Rangers don't have that V. It's literally Beautiful Joe, but they couldn't get the copyright. Whatchamacallit? They couldn't get the rights for it, for a crossover. But that's literally this. Come on, go back. Show him again. Show him again. That is definitely whatchamacallit though. I can tell. Yeah, Beautiful Joe crossover when? It looks like never. Oh, but if they have the if they get the crossover, they could put it as a skin. Ah, see, they're thinking 2 steps ahead. I see. Because they wanted to keep it OC somehow. All right. To some philosophy, they're like branding right now. I'm sure we'll all see the legend soon enough. All right. Alright. So let's talk some philosophy. Is Sigzor scary? It's crazy. I thought Thea was pretty good too, though, so I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to compete. Okay. I just lost my summoners, so I'm making a summoner PP. But yeah. Okay. So philosophy. It's not just philosophy here. We're gonna be talking about more than that. But basically, let's start out with the idea of purpose. And it's very like, we're not gonna go into consciousness in depth or anything. I mean, that could be another day. But For certain, I want to talk about. Oh, I don't even have a pet. I'm not gonna use a pet for now, at least. So purpose is interesting because it's more than like, Aristotle and all them. They tried to touch on it. They tried to give like a definition, I guess you could say. And they said that everything has an essence. That, the ground has its own essence. People have an essence, and you should kind of stick with that essence. But what if you don't know your purpose? What if you don't know your essence? What if you don't know if there is a purpose? If there is some universal answer to these things? What, like, you have to start looking at it from many different angles to try and come up with an analogy that best, like, corresponds to the emotions that would result from having a purpose, let alone the physicalities. Because we could see things like, well, a knife is to cut, a fork is to pick up, a spoon is for soup or something. Like, you could make purpose like that. Does that purpose stop as soon as you say, like, well, I can't, that means that I should only use a spoon for soup. I should never use a spoon for cutting things. I mean, you could cut pancakes with a spoon. Sometimes you cut your chicken with a fork. So it really depends on how you look at it. But is there an answer to purpose? Like, is there a meaning? Is there a final result that you get? Is there, in a way, like a total purpose where it could be used for this, it could be used for that, it could be used for that. It could be used for almost anything, but what will happen is that if you use it for anything else, it really won't have much of a purpose. And I think you have to put life into that. You have to start talking about life. Because what is life's general purpose? Because like we said, like a fork can be used to cut, can be used to pick up things. Well, life can be used to intake food, water, and after a while, it degrades. So life has its own, like, meaning and purpose, but it doesn't extend so far to the point to say life is infinite. Like, a fork is not infinite. A fork, if you threw it down a building on, like, Jupiter, where, like, the gravity was super duper strong, it would turn into, like, a mush of metal. So what is it really? Is it just metal? Is it just a mush of metal that's been formed into a shape? Well, I mean, if I was set off an Empire State Building on Jupiter, I'm sure I would also turn into some sort of mush. Am I just mush? Is that my purpose? Just to be mush? I'm sure if I had an impact when I hit the ground, it would also contribute to my purpose. Because, I mean, what's the purpose of a baseball? It's to be caught and to be hit, in a sense, to play baseball. So, it's hard to say if there ever will be an answer to purpose, but there's certain answers you can come up with. Like, what is its current purpose? Or what can it be used for? And the question, though, then is life the only thing that can explain what a purpose is? Because, it's not like I'm out here in a conversation with some rocks. So it's very interesting. However, that is a good question to ask. Are we just rocks that have somehow came to the ability to give something purpose, give something else purpose. So if you look at it with the idea that, well, let's just pretend that life isn't so, you know, special, I guess you could say. And you said, you know, a rock could give me an answer if it was lucky enough to do so. Then what would it consider to be important? What would a rock have to say? Well, a rock might find stability to be important. It would not want to completely disassemble upon its creation. So it keeps itself together. Does it keep itself together, or does the rest of the world keep it together? You have to ask that to yourself too. Do I keep myself together? Or is everything I've learned from other people keeping me together? Where's my choice? And then that's where we decide our own purpose, right? If I had a choice to determine what I could do today, I would determine basically what I should do today or what I shouldn't do today. Because I would rule out every other possibility. And that really is kind of like what gives things a property, or gives things meaning. Property is the idea that I own this and nobody else owns this except for anybody that I allow to own it. And life is one of those properties. However, there's certain times where we realize that, do we really own anything at all? Because somebody could just take it away at any moment. Like, it's like taking candy from a baby. If there was some fourth dimensional object or person or thing that could just take out things from the universe and we couldn't even notice it happen. Because we can't even perceive a fourth dimensional being. That would be scary, right? We would question all of what we understand already. But if it was somehow possible, like it had the property to do so, then we could do nothing to stop them. However, we as humans currently feel like we're the fourth dimensional beings, that we control all that. And in a way we do, but we only do so on the third dimension. Unless we're somehow fourth dimension. But that's a different talk. Again, that's on the talk of consciousness. So, when we get back to purpose, the human purpose, we often find people who believe they have no purpose. And that's like the duality of purpose, is that you have purpose or you have no purpose. And sometimes we think that we don't have enough purpose. Like, we could do this, we could do that, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have an impact. Kind of like, if I threw this rock at a building, it won't shatter the whole building. So, what's the point of the rock? Sometimes we try to use things as a tool, kind of like a fork, when we should really be using a knife. And we say that we could get everything done with the fork, even though we know we haven't gotten anything done with that fork or that knife, whatever. So that means that we can reassign importance to certain things that originally we thought had a purpose. it means that there is a perspective to purpose. And anybody could tell you a certain perspective. That's why we have many differing views. Is because certain things we believe to be important are not important to everybody. And it would be frustrating if we're all on the same boat. And some people say it's important to paddle the boat. And then some people are saying, don't paddle the boat, the wind will take it. And then some people are saying that the currents are pushing us back, so we should just go back. You lose direction when people have their own motives, their own intentions. Because it wasn't so much that they had the differing opinion on how to keep each other safe. Because they all were like, let's go here, let's go there, let's go that. You know, they all knew that they wanted to go somewhere. So their like idea of where they should end up wasn't the problem. But the problem was how. So it's like, okay, I'll get food today. And then I'll eat the food. And then there's like everybody else in the world is kind of doing that right now. Because, you know, you need to be full. So food has that purpose. But because there's so many different things that fulfill that purpose, you have to ask, what will make me the most happy? Like, in a way, it's like, I could buy a fork, I could buy a spoon, I could buy a knife, but what do I really need right now? And some people would you know, get the fast food. Some people would get bacon, egg, and cheese. Some people would make their own food. And it doesn't take away from the purpose of food. But if nobody ever needed food, we wouldn't really have food, right? That's the thing. Is that, look at chicken. Chicken is a food, but chicken is an animal. And that's the thing about vegans, is that they want to say that the purpose of an animal supersedes its purpose as food. So there is a clear distinction between how important something is and whether it has importance at all. Because if everything was either important or not important, you wouldn't be able to just, you know, rank them in importance. What you would end up finding is that everything is important after that point. Even little dust particles would be important to some perspective eventually. After all, we wouldn't have a whole planet if it weren't for dust. Because it takes a lot of dust to build up to be a rock. Like a snowball effect. If we didn't have water, we wouldn't have ice. But if we didn't have cold, we wouldn't have ice. So it's like a little bit of an alchemy exchange where multiple things with purpose have to take place together for one thing to have purpose. And that's like the big reason why society is important, is because people make it important. And because life makes it important. where does that importance end? Does that importance end with life? So, to deviate from a singular importance, let's talk about group importance. How a society can have importance. But that importance could be decided upon more people than are alive, I guess you could say. So we could decide that somebody in our society should hold importance. Let's just say it was a society of 5 people. And we give them a purpose by giving them some power. We say, we'll give you our attention, or we'll give you our money or funding or currency or something that could be used for other things. If you use those things for what helps the good of everybody else. In a queen bee fashion, there's a lot of responsibility put upon that one individual. And there's an expectation that that person will fulfill that purpose. At least until they cannot anymore, you know. Until the day where there is an impossibility for that purpose to be fulfilled. By doing so, by even creating that opportunity, you allow it to become like a foothold, so that anybody else could also potentially fill that purpose. Like a captain of a ship. There is a meaning to it. It's to guide the ship. But too many people guiding the ship can guide it in the wrong direction. As I mentioned with the analogy before, with 3 people, each one having different perspectives of the waters and how they should get to safety. So perhaps it's not that it's all figured out in stone since the beginning. What is most important, what is not important. But that is developed over time. And it's depending on the scenario, depending on the situation, on the context. And that shifting context is what creates the dynamics of life. How we tend to lose our idea of our own purpose because there's so much going on in our life and in other people's lives and in the lives that, you know, that have yet to exist or have already existed. So it can be a little overwhelming, I'll tell you that. But it's not impossible to answer from time to time what I could do or what could be done. Because there's always something that could be done, right? As long as the rest of the world exists, there's something that could be done about the rest of the world. And sometimes it feels like nothing should be done at all. And that's true sometimes too. But you wouldn't be here right now if that was really the case. Because you would have stopped breathing or stopped beating your heart at that point. Because your heart doesn't just say beat and then stop beating. Beat and then stop beating. It says contract and then relax. Contract and then relax. Because even when it stops beating, quote unquote, it has a purpose for that. It's to let the blood flow throughout your body. That everything isn't happening in an instant. And it doesn't have to be. That's why people say take your time to figure out what you want to do with life, because it really does kind of matter. Your heart is gonna keep beating. Your heirs is gonna still keep being provided to you in a sense. And it's good. That's a good thing, because take a look at how much the world has done with forks. Sure, you could contribute that to some negative imagery, but forks allow us to eat, not think about certain things. It gives us a chance, in a sense, to relax. How there was that contraction, there is now relaxation. In the lungs, you wouldn't expect it to be conscious on its own, right? But it has to be separate. It must be separate from the whole. Otherwise, it gets lost in the sauce of everything else. How would we be able to distinguish between our heart and, you know, our muscles? There would be no way. So the better option is to roll with the purpose. But how do you determine that purpose, right? It's like a paradox. The context determines it. So that gives me another thing. A scientific thing, I guess you could say, is that it's funny how scientists have already made the claim that the universe is homogeneous throughout the whole universe. Like, one galaxy is in a way going to be similar to another. One place and then the other place. That gravity is like a fundamental constant. The speed of light is always going to be the same speed. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Like, how could you determine that from just one little point in the whole world? So you're telling me that from Africa, you could tell me what America is like? It doesn't make any sense to me. Unless you had some sort of direct connection to it. But, you know, is that really the case? Do we have a direct line of communication from the Andromeda Galaxy to the Milky Way? That is not how it works. I can't even understand what Polo's thinking right now. So how would I even know that my thoughts are all my own? It's just certain things that we haven't understood the purpose of yet at all. And it's not that it doesn't have a purpose. It's just that we need to like look at it from so many different angles, and we have yet to reach enough angles that says we have a good view of it. After all, we used to see rainbows in ancient times, and of course it was beautiful, so we had our own decision of what that purpose would be. We even, you know, we attributed a lot of things to magic back in the day. That was even before certain religions existed. Magic was like, that was before like a lot of science, I guess you could say. A lot of science was this and this and that, a lot of religion was this and this and that, and a lot of a lot of people thought this and this and that. And it's okay, because that is what contributes to how we get to where we are now, which isn't necessarily like good or bad. There's certain parts of the world that are bad, there's certain parts of the world that are good, but it depends on your perspective, and then you really discover that over time. In fact, the context of somebody who speaks their mind and like is very aggressive and, you know, is very frustrating to deal with might seem like it's very bad. Like, oh, that disrupts our society. But maybe it's important to keep that in mind for that one day where we're dealing with so much injustice in our own society that we don't have all the voice that we think we should have to speak up for it, against it. So sometimes a purpose has no purpose in a current context, and anywhere, like I guess you could say in the universe. It has yet to have its context. And with the way life works, that organism, with all that individual purpose, doesn't even know, probably, its own purpose yet. There's a chance that one day each of us will have an infinite purpose, in a sense that, like, we didn't even realize it, but we need to exist. Otherwise, things wouldn't exist at all. Like a zero or all or nothing, I guess you could say. And we can already feel that existing right now. For example, like, just look at yourself breathing, I guess you could say. Your lungs have an all or nothing purpose to your existence right now. And how you see it. It's really all or nothing. Because, you know, let's just say you had an artificial lung. That's okay, that's nice. But does the rest of your body agree with all that? Probably not. And maybe eventually, there's a time where we could be completely artificial. And maybe at that time, it seems like we could just have everything perfectly fine, all or nothing. We're a robot. Until that day, we're essentially the robot right now. And that piece of the robot must exist. Otherwise, we can't live. And, you know, who knows? Maybe we're so deep into that robotic thing that we're just part of the grand central robot. And we don't even know it. So that if one of us disappeared from existence, we would just create some like black hole that just sucked in everything else forever. Hey! So how do we know, you know? How do we know that? And that's what I'm saying. Some things that explain our purpose are not yet answered. And it's maybe not that it could never be answered, but until we are illuminated by that answer, we just don't know. And we should be open to the idea that our perspective could shift with the seasons. Much like a tree is better off swaying with the wind. Instead of just being so rigid in the idea that properties are properties and nothing can change about them. and that purpose is purpose, and you know, we can't distinguish any other purpose that could be used for it. Because chopsticks can be used to pinch, they can also be used to stab, and that is like creativity right there. That's why like you see that in like in action movies, somebody coming out with the chopsticks and then they go crazy with them. It's like such an innocent looking thing could be so powerful. So why shouldn't we look at ourselves the same way? Now to get into the more, even more philosophical than that, I would say, is what is the purpose of a potato? And, you know, does it have its own infinite purpose in a sense? I mean, it feels like it because you could make potato sticks, fries, you can make shepherd's pie. There's a lot of things you could do with a potato from a human's perspective. But my question is, what's the potato's perspective for a potato? A seemingly impossible answer, but nonetheless one that could be discussed. So what a potato finds important? Perhaps that's how we get to the existence of multiple different types of potatoes. It's not that a potato is one thing, but that potatoes believe they are one thing. Because their life, after all, they essentially get their right to a purpose. Because potatoes aren't just for humans, you know? There's a chance that there's an animal or there's a plant out there that sees itself as food for something else. And that's all it really sees itself as. And, you know, when will that day come where the animal that used to eat it is no longer around? Will it finally find itself fulfilled? Or is it no longer able to be fulfilled? If there was no more humans to use forks, is it just like some post-apocalyptic world where a fork is like, whoa, what is that? And then like they pick up the fork and then it's like, well, you know, I have no idea, so don't touch it. And it's just like, well, it's too scary to think about what it could be used for, so let's not think about it at all. A little bit deep there, but you know, that's the point of time right now. It's basically to go onto the nuances. It's like learning a game for the first time. When you're like, yeah, I need to learn the controls first, and then I need to learn, you know, the objective the game wants me to do. So we kind of have our own objectives. We have our own purpose. We have our own like control scheme. It's hard to take away our own control scheme from us. We know how certain things are supposed to go. We know how we're supposed to feel. Sometimes we don't. And those are moments of like shock, I guess you could say. Like the words were ripped out of my mouth, or like, you know, I was stumped by that play, so I couldn't actually respond. He hit me with the roast, and I didn't know where to go from that. You know, there's certain things that like are out of our control. But yet, just because it's not in our control doesn't mean it doesn't serve a purpose. And those are like life lessons there. Those things usually are the teaching moments for people. Cause like, look at this game. This game, Realm of the Mad God, has different ways to play the game. It has different controls. You don't have to rotate the screen. You could play the whole game like this. I think it starts out 45 degrees, so you could literally play the whole game like this. You don't have to shoot your weapon, so you don't, you know. but you could use your ability, or you could not use your ability. And in a way, certain things don't happen unless you do them, right? Like, those summons are not gonna get summoned unless I hit this button. So we assume that this button, its whole purpose is to summon the thing. So when I unequip this weapon, this mace, why can I not summon another thing? It's because the button is not just for summoning the things. Because I could switch characters, go to a priest, and that button will be used to heal me. But right now, the context of this button says it's used to summon things from this slot. And that's the point of coding right there. You're coding a purpose in a sense. But what the code is it's taking an input and then creating an output. Is getting that energy and letting it flow into you, and then doing something with it to let it flow out. And usually with computers, that's in the form of electricity, with data and electricity. And data is just a state, a 0 or a 1. So if we could press a button and just instantly cause some input-output exchange for a thought, why wouldn't we? Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's all that is. However, just like I said with the mace, maybe that is used for other things at the same time. So that's why consciousness, even if you took out a piece of the whole, there's still some sort of totality to it, some finality. That it can do this, but it can't do this. And I think that's important. Because consciousness shouldn't be able to answer everything, right? You shouldn't be able to answer every single question in the world with consciousness. That, oh, yeah. So, you know, I didn't know that you were going to show up or not. I wasn't even conscious of it. That shouldn't be the answer to everything. Because then we wouldn't be able to assert accountability for our actions. We just blame everything on consciousness. That's why sometimes you could say, well, the bus was late. Or, you know, like, the food didn't taste so good, I didn't want to eat it. It's like, it's not necessarily our fault, right? That the food didn't taste good. Sure, it has to do with our body and how we perceive things at all, to even determine if food tastes at all. But did we make the food? Like, did we create the property, the purpose? No, we did not. We didn't do that. We might not have even scavenged for the food. We probably don't even know where it came from. So when you see all these people eating fast food or like, you know, not following the certain lies that you expect, don't be mad at them. Perhaps they didn't realize what was important to you. And, you know, we have to be more forgiving. Because maybe it's trying its best. Maybe our taste buds tried their best. But then one day they lost all their taste buds. Oh, they lost all their flavor, I guess. Their flavor profiles. So now, when they taste something, it doesn't taste the same. And, you know, even if they're sentient, like, even if they know this, what are the chances they have the ability to change that? Oh, cool. I don't even think I had that blueprint at all. So that's pretty cool. That's cool. I had this before. I didn't know that the boss dropped it too. Okay, but like I said, if somebody's conscious of something, are we just gonna blame everything on them? And this is something like, you know, I don't want to get too political about this, but it's like, if you had a friend and he witnessed a murder and he didn't say anything about it, and it was your friend who died as well, like your friend witnessed your other friend die to somebody else, and he never told you who it was, are you gonna be mad at him your whole life? Are you gonna hold it against him just because he was conscious of what happened? As if knowing the answer would just solve everything anyway? It's just unfortunate, you know? It's unfortunate that consciousness plays such a role in our lives. That it can be just being conscious alone can be a crime in a sense. Because really, it's not. It's just unfortunate. Or fortunate. And sometimes it's more fortunate, sometimes it's less. Because sometimes we have more control, and sometimes we have less control. And even if we had no control, sometimes it's not such a bad thing. Because knowing who did that, knowing who murdered your friend, won't bring them back, right? Like, that doesn't help, you know, certain things. In a purpose standpoint, maybe all they were trying to do was to be a good friend. They weren't trying to hold things against you. Who the heck just popped the ocean trench right there? Hurry up! Hurry up! Gotta go in the ocean trench, hurry up! Don't kill me. No, I'm not gonna make it in time. Okay, whatever. So, you know, that's why I say be more forgiving. You never know when one day you're gonna wish you had that forgiveness from somebody else. For something that you could have possibly changed, but you didn't. And that's not to say that nothing is your fault. Some things you had that quote-unquote conscious control of. You had control to do so, or to not do. But sometimes you just didn't know how important something was to somebody else. And it's hard to gauge in this world whether your values or somebody else's values should be deemed more important. Because there's times where somebody else's values will have more importance than your own. And it's just a fact. Because sometimes you'll be wrong. Or right. And fundamentally, you can't know all that with consciousness. And in a way, that's, you know, why hindsight is 20/20 in a sense. Even though I would say it's not. It's just a good phrase. Even in retrospect, we don't really understand everything. Like, we don't really understand our whole life as a child. Even when it had such a great importance on what shaped us to be who we are today. So, even when you want to go back and change the past, you can't. But that's okay. Because That's what the now is about. And even when you can't change what you're doing right now, that's okay. Because that's what the future is about. Later on in life, you'll realize that even in the future, you won't have a chance to change what you want to change. And that's kind of what comes with old age. And that's why people, some people say that wisdom comes with old age, but that's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that you'll be aware of your own limits in your old age. And some people, they push their limits too far. They push themselves to the end. And that could be the deciding end. Is that, they just pushed themselves, but they didn't know their own limits. So try starting now. Try starting to realize, where your purpose can start and where your purpose can end. Because it will hold some importance later on in life. When you realize that, hey, it's out of my control. I shouldn't get frustrated. I shouldn't. I shouldn't. I should, but, I also shouldn't. Oh my gosh, I look so weird now. Because, time takes time to happen. The realization for some profound thing that you've been looking for in your life. And I say profound. Some people think profound has to be some infinite knowledge. Profundity does not have to be. Neither does enlightenment or all these other weird concepts that are so, like, huge in this society. Huge. But, these things aren't that crazy. Is it hard to understand, like, maybe if I got a little bit smarter, that I would be more respectable? That could be its own enlightenment. It's just being smarter. And whatever smarter means to you could mean something entirely different to somebody else, but that doesn't mean it has to have any importance to them. Smarter could be knowing scales on guitar, and that could be smart, like really, really smart. Because you'd be like, and you'd be like, okay, what's the point of that? I don't know, but that's it's more than what I could do, somebody might say. And then somebody else might say, well, that's very good, that's very good. You can also do this too, you could keep working on that, and you'll also be able to do this. You'll realize that there's going to be people who push you backwards or push you forwards. And some of those people don't even know what they're talking about. Forwards or backwards. And sometimes you won't even realize whether you're going forwards or whether you're going backwards. Because to you, in the ocean, the wide ocean of all these possibilities, well, it's a lot of water. It's a lot of nothing. But once you get a foothold, and that's what I'm saying about purpose, is that purpose can be a foothold. Once you get that sort of purpose, you can know where you can go from that. And in fact, you can expand that island, that foothold. Kind of like getting a pickaxe and just mining a little bit of area to stand. It's that, like, purpose is weird. Purpose is like, what's the point of a scale? What's the point of playing one note for a long time over and over? It may seem like there's no purpose, that it just makes a lot of noise. But there's people out there who are making a lot of money by just playing a lot of noise. So you have to start to reconsider now, I think that's really interesting that we've at least came to a point in society where we can recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses even without having any experience in those fields ourselves. Like, what's the point of being like #1 in Fortnite. What's with these Zoomers playing Subway Surfers? You know, what's the point? I don't get it. Maybe you can't get it. That's fine. You don't have to get it. It's out of your scope. But to them, they know. And that's probably all that matters, right? They know what they want. What's the point of having an outrage, of causing destruction to these things? You know? It's just rude. It's absolutely preposterous. Well, maybe you won't be able to live to see that result, especially perhaps not even able to recognize the positive result in your lifetime at all, like, you know. And that's okay. Maybe they know what they're doing. So, in a way, you gotta let them cook. That's just how it works. So, I really do think let them cook is a valid statement. Yeah. There's my TED Talk site. But yeah. You know. To go into a little bit of a summary. Purpose may or may not be infinite, but that's not for us to decide, because we have a limited perspective. However, context can help us find importance, especially when we have no foothold on the value of what we're striving to achieve. And that value is not determined by others. Nor should it be entirely determined by ourselves. And that value changes over time. And some things are best left answered by time. There's my TED Talk. There you go. Purpose. So, yeah. I hope that's illuminating. It was good to talk about. So, yeah, you know, very deep topic. The world is a very strange place. You know, hopefully one day we'll have an answer. There may never be an answer, right? But we can at least know certain things in the now. And we shouldn't let others completely define our value and importance. I'm like literally out here on my stream deck or Streamlabs, just trying to figure out how to freaking add a marker, a stream marker, whatever it's called. Oh no, wait. Oh no. No. I missed the crawling. Did I? I did. Shayton, what the heck? I'm trying to find how to add a stream marker. What the heck? Where is it? I don't know. That's disappointing. Anyway, I'm probably gonna play some Brawlhalla later. Less deep than purpose. No philosophy necessary. But it's very calming. I'll say, I think I was more productive talking about purpose than I was just talking about like, oh, like, you know, like after a while that gets kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. After a while, you're just like, oh, you know, like, yeah, oh wow, oh, that's crazy, oh wow, and then you're just like, I didn't say anything of any value for like the last 30 minutes. So, you know, it's good to talk about things once in a while. So yeah, but you know, like it's that time now. It's that time to be talking about. So yeah, I have no idea what this realm event is about. I'll just say that. I don't even know how I got to a Shayton. I don't have any idea. But I'm here right now. And you know, I don't think I'm gonna get anything of value from this, except for like 4 potions, which is pretty freaking amazing. I think Shayton's is underrated, especially from how it used to be before. Like, it used to be incompletable with 1 person. Oh, rest in peace. Rest in spaghetti. Also, it's a lot easier to complete because let me just add on pet list here. So, you know, think about that next time you're doing a Shayton's and you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. This dungeon is so hard. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking? Tell me. Because I am bamboozled. No, they made it like this. I didn't know it was like this the whole time. Oh, that was fast though. Because yeah, back in the day, it used to be like impossible. It felt like it was easy, but also really hard. Like, it was like so much damage on the screen. And now these projectiles are so slow. And I think the phases are pretty obvious on what you're supposed to do. So yeah, petless, OP, petless. Easy peasy. Get good. We're leaving. But yeah. Back in my day, I remember when you had to say skip to Craig, and you got to skip the dialogue. I'm about to max attack already. Imagine I got the whole Summoner ST set on the PPE. On the NPE. Oh my gosh, that looked like insta-kill right there. You know what? Because I gotta brag out here, I gotta put NPE in the title. NPE. Because I'm just that good. I'm so good that I'm able to move before dying, as I'm changing the title. I'm so good. I got this tier 11. I must say that the tier 11 Morningstar looks a lot cooler than the tier 11 regular one. Like, it looks significantly cooler. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't know. I can't warrant myself using this all the time. Oh my gosh, the damage! The damage! On the NPE. Alright, conflict. Back to the wand. Like, how can you beat a wand? Wand just like, I don't know. It's so cool. Oh my gosh. I'm nearly deceased. But yeah, I'm not dying today. I will not allow it. Shrine. Oh gosh. I will not allow it. I need all the HP pots I can get though. Like it's 2013 and I gotta hold the MP pot in my inventory. Okay, so what is this event? Ice Tomb, Toxic Sewers, Inner Sanctum, aka Ice Cave. Interesting. Yeah, that's not getting done though. I'm glad that Deca makes events. Like, not just like, now we're gonna make a manor event. So, you know, everybody gotta run a bunch of manors. Like, it has a theme sometimes, at least. Now it's the cool down. It's a summer event. Summer's coming. Everybody chill out. Like, you know, it has a purpose. Syndicate. Wow, uncover the lore of the hidden interregnum where people have not played the dungeon in very long, so there you go, we get to play the dungeon. It's like, yeah, I don't know, but yeah. And it's like, okay, you know, that's pretty cool. We got that going for us. Oh! I thought I died. I was like, I just got that, like, slowdown. You couldn't call simply not killing or destroying any more atonement. I need to grow more wheat than I trampled underfoot. I need to rebuild more houses than I burnt down. I still don't know how to eliminate war from the entire world, but just a single village would do. I want to create a place where people don't need swords. There's no point if you fight for peace. You'll never escape from that bloodthirsty hell that way. I have no enemies. You know, that's very deep. It's very deep. But remember, that's only your perspective. So one day there will be people who say that that's too passive. And that won't get you to the peace or the fighting or the non-fighting or the war. You know, like that perhaps all your efforts were in vain. And we have to worry about how we speak, or not worry about how we speak, so that we don't fall to vanity or any other injustice. Because we may have been following other people's footsteps, and the path that they've been paving has actually been towards destruction. Just look at Animal Farm. Also, hello. That's like the first thing you say when you come into chat. Like, that's pretty crazy. But that's a good thing, don't worry. Oh. Wow, people are just rude for no reason. He said, learn how to spell other. Wow. I feel like I'll never know what any philosopher meant. No Schopenhauer, no Kant, none of them. I don't think I'll ever know. There's like no way to understand how much they were going through in their lives to start coming up with like freaking end all be all concepts for the whole world. Cause I think I know. Oh yes, I need that. I think I know, but do I really know? I don't know. I think the fact that we say I don't know so much shows that we really don't know a lot of things. And it's better to admit that we don't know than to just assume that we do. But when we do know, when we have that inclination, that little eensy weensy, teeny weeny, minuscule fragment of an idea, you know, maybe we should try to build the whole picture off of it, even if it's all an assumption. Oh, look at that! Ooh. Tier 5. Cause that eensy weensy teeny weeny leeny, you know, is very confusing sometimes. Cause it's like, wow, you know, I'm understanding what somebody else understands even though I never even talked to them. You actually might be on to what they're trying to communicate before they even communicated it. I feel like philosophy is... Okay, hold on. Before I you know, like, every time a philosopher makes those statements, they have to make sure that it's freaking, like, to the T exactly what they're trying to communicate. Otherwise, they're just gonna be like, no, that's not what I said. That's not even... How dare you completely detract from what I said? Now you're going to ruin the whole world with your interpretation. And it's completely exactly in the opposite direction of what I was, you know, so. But anyway, I would say philosophy is like that friend that you want to shut up because he's just like, oh, like, come on, dude. You're saying things that just don't make sense. And then later on, you're like, oh my gosh, he was right, I get it now. And you're like, you beat yourself up about it because you're like, why didn't I realize this earlier? But it's okay to think like that. It's okay. We all figure it out eventually. Now, actually, we all figure it out is an invalid statement. Maybe we don't figure it out. Maybe we never knew. It's like that crush that we had, and it's like, I thought they didn't like me, but they really did like me. No, 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 no! If only I knew. Well, that's how you really have to see it. Like, you know, you have to see like your ideas as probably maybe that important. Like, oh man, if only I knew that. If only I had to carry the 2 in my brain, and then I would have reached an enlightenment. Oh, like, you know, it really could be like that. It really could. You don't rule yourself out on how close you were to the truth. Who knows? Maybe you like, maybe. I don't want to go into crushes. That's terrible. Let's say you wanted to be the person who solved like I don't want to get to like crises and all this other stuff. So something smaller than that. What's an unanswered question? Okay. So like you were like in your bathroom taking a shower and you came up with like some shower thought of where eels come from or something, and nobody knew where eels came. Something like that. This is like, ooh, Polo, go over there. You're deafening the audience. The parrot, yeah, the bird went. Yes, yeah. Hold on, let me go move him over there. No, Martin Kalenka on YouTube has said, "How are you?" But I had the stream on Twitch and then I didn't see it. Oh, we lost one. This is why you gotta keep the Streamlabs thing on multi-stream. You live and learn. Oh, he's gone. Alright. What was I saying before Polo went? On doing without expecting. Alright, give me an example. Give me an example, and I'll have better thoughts on it. Because context matters. Sometimes, like, I feel like if you came up with some end-all be-all answer to that, there'd be some other explanation where it would be like, well, you know, in this situation, you also should not think like that. Because there will be, it's like, you know, the fork scenario where if I have a fork, I can cut with it, I can pick up food with it, but I also cannot, like, you know, you can't expect me to drink soup with it. So give me an example, because I get what you're talking about, but I'm trying to see specifically what that means, you know, like to you in a sense. Otherwise, I would probably miscommunicate what I'm trying to say. Oh, hey, Martin. You want to join me on this NPE process? I'm out here in the server US East 2, if you would like to join. There we go. Let me make sure though. I'm pretty sure though. Yeah, I meant Drake. And if it's easier to type in realm chat, then do that. I would suggest it. I can read that fast too. Okay, so like before, you know, let me just give like a surface level. I don't know if you heard me before, but a surface level on that. Okay, wait, okay. So like before I'm swayed by that, like a surface level answer to that would be that nothing is really futile in the end, because you'll know that you tried, right? Like you'll at least know that you did something, even when it's like, even when you knew it might have hurt you, you still tried. So it leaves you with that like, well, now I really know sort of thing. And that's helpful to at least have that sort of inner peace. Like take a look at all these writers and stuff, or these artists, where they made art, and did they ever really get to see the fruit of their labor? It depends, because were they trying to do it for success or for wealth, or were they doing it because they had to, in a sense, like some sort of responsibility, you know? So that way, you know, it's important to have your own purpose for what you're doing that for, and not leave it as some sort of like, whether I achieved it or I didn't achieve it. But let me read that. You give a person you love your time, put in effort, instead of reciprocating, they just leave. But you're fine with it, only because you already had that contingency in mind. It only makes the whole interaction contrived, something that you just treat like a business arrangement. Move on, they say, become accepting of rejection until you become a machine. How is one supposed to give their all and not be affected at all by it not working out? That must be the strongest person in the world mentally. Well, so yeah, I think what's crucial in that is to realize that it really is that it's not your fault, you know? And it may not even be their fault, right? Like, it's not even a fault thing. Because let's just say that you had all the answers, right? You had all the futures planned out. Maybe they did too. Maybe they were like, okay, you know, I have what I want in my life. I feel kind of happy. But then they still say, it's not exactly everything I thought it would be. So instead of lying down waiting, I'm gonna figure out whether I was right or wrong, and I'm gonna live with that. In a way, who's to say that was any different from you creating that relationship in the first place? Because in that initial stage where you felt like you could perceive all the futures and have it all planned out, that's where they are at the end. That maybe they just been focused on somebody else the whole time, or that you've been focused on somebody else the whole time, but you haven't really been looking at things from your own, like, your own value, like your own purpose. Like, you're seeing it as the purpose of, like, I know what I'm getting at, remembering like what I said earlier, is that, like, you know, food isn't necessarily food, right? It's also like the chicken, or, you know, the chicken is alive, or the food came from somewhere. So a relationship came from somewhere. It came from somebody who was born and somebody else who was born, right? And at that time, nobody had the answers. Nobody had a good idea of what they really wanted in their life. And then they eventually came to an age where they think they knew. And then, who knows, that could be the age of 5, that they thought they knew exactly what they wanted. And then when they didn't get what they wanted, they got mad. They got sad. They might have thrown tantrums, or they might not have even had like much of any reaction at all. They just absorbed it. There's somebody like that 20 years from now too. And you just don't know. You haven't seen them yet. And that person is you, because you're gonna realize that what you deemed important is actually not as important in the whole grand scheme of things. And the idea of what you held important can change. So one day, it'll be difficult for you. And one day it'll be easy for you to know. And making that action on what that is very difficult. And there's some hard questions there, you know? Like, some hard questions to ask yourself. And it may be taxing, right? And it may be taxing on other people even more, and you don't even realize it. So we all have our own questions and our own answers. And we may even have our own perspectives on the people that we have in our lives, of how they think and how they expect and what they wanted and what they didn't want. And what they were unable to communicate. There's a chance that one day they'll realize that what they wanted wasn't what they really wanted. There's a chance. But there's also a chance that they'll look back and they'll be like, well, I'm so glad I did what I did. But, you know, there's this unfortunate reality that what they do will affect you sometimes. And their philosophies may not be as sound as your philosophies, sadly. That they didn't have it all figured out. And that can accomplish good things or bad things in this world. Oh crap, there was a chest and I missed the chest? I'm a dingus. So yeah, let me look through what you're saying exactly fully. Though I think the most important thing here is to not be apathetic, but also to not put all the significance of what you find important to be all your own idea, you know? That sometimes people give you things to feel proud of or things to take care of. And you enjoy it while it lasts. You enjoy, let's say, you know, that's why people, you know, say, I thank people or I thank this for happening in my life because it taught me this. It's because during that time, let's say you're taking care of a chicken. You love that chicken, right? You get the chance to decide whether, oh yeah, I'm just gonna raise it to eat it, or I'm gonna raise it to, you know, to be my friend. You have all these different options on how you can look at it. And I think being given that choice is already enough, like a gift in its own. Am I maxed? I need one more. It's okay, there's a phrase that's life is only lived forward, but also only understood backwards. And I think that, you know, at least half of that is true. Because sometimes you think you understand what you're looking at backwards, as if it's some sort of event that you can watch on a television screen. And in the current day, you're just a newscaster, you know, reporting the news or reporting, you know, what you want to talk about that day. But it's a lot more complicated, you know. Sometimes you are living in the past, right? You wouldn't be able to come up with words if you hadn't ever learned the words. So getting those words over time is good because you're able to communicate yourself better in the future. And you know, sometimes you wish you never learned that word in the first place. You know, it can cripple you. Like saying like oh my god, like, oh wow, you know, it could cripple you. It can ruin your ability to communicate in certain scenarios. It was helpful at one moment and not helpful at another. Back in high school, like, oh my god, we were always talking like, always like this, like, oh my god, it was like crazy. You know, it really changes over time what is important, what teaches you, and what doesn't teach you. Because sometimes we never learn, right? We never learn. We keep doing the same thing over and over. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay, because in that moment, you didn't know you were wrong. But it felt good. Oh, I gotta do blue. There's certain things that you can be satisfied to find in others. And I think just take a walk in nature. It'll help you out with that. Because in a way, nature kind of feels infinite because you have no control over it, but yet it keeps going and it just keeps going. Just keep coming, just keep coming, just keep coming. You know, like it just keeps going. So you can always appreciate it from afar. Like fire, you know, you can't beat fire. You can feel the heat. You can feel it from a distance, you know. Oh, you can feel it from a distance. Maybe one day you'll find a heat that's just to your liking, and you can hug it close. You know, there's a difference. You know, maybe this whole time you were trying to hug a bonfire, and maybe that's just not what they wanted and not what you wanted. You know, like the bonfire knew that it would hurt. Maybe you're the bonfire, right? Maybe the bonfire knew that if it brought the person in too close, it would just sear them like a steak. But it also felt like it was lonely if it didn't have anybody near it to feel its heat because it knew its own value. However, sometimes we underrate our own value and we think that we're a little candle when really we're a bonfire. And sometimes we overrate ourselves. And we overrate our ability to be controlled when sometimes, you know, we're unable to be fully to somebody's expectations. And that's like when you take something out the oven, it doesn't look hot, but it is burning, boiling hot, and it could literally burn somebody just even touching it for a half a second. Oh my gosh. So yeah, like it was like that. It's like that right there. So if I touched it for half a second, I would have been popped and I would have died. Like this bubble right here. So, you know, just remember that struggles are not forever. Like there were times where I was struggling and I'm like genuinely not struggling with that anymore. And it's probably something that other people have never even heard of, like never even understood the concept of. Like I remember I was working at a job, somebody said I never even knew what anxiety was until somebody told me. I'm like, what? What is that? What, are you crazy? Are you some sort of sociopath? No, like you just didn't know. You know, there's like, well, one, there's different definitions for different people, but two, it was like you have to live it to really understand it, right? And if some people never lived through that, they don't know what that really feels like. So don't hold it against them for not having the same perspective that you did. They have to live through the pain to avoid the pain in the future. I am getting annihilated. take a look at Rum on the Map. I think a lot of times we think we knew how to dodge these things in the game. Oh, but we didn't. And other times it was like all literally up to luck. That if we were just luckier, we would have never died. But when luck isn't on our side, what do we have to learn? That even without luck, we can replace that with skill and preparation. Why am I only getting attack pods? Now, on response to your last message, like a direct response, you ever heard of quantum physics? I'm just gonna throw that out as a question. You ever heard of quantum physics? That's what I like about science, is that even science can come up with philosophies. Alright, so I mentioned quantum physics because some things are not accounted for. It's literally like, you know, well, it didn't exist. It didn't exist until you observed it. Like Schrodinger's cat. There's just a chance that somewhere, somehow in the world, that energy, it's kind of like, you know, the Fairly Odd Parents. Like that energy had to come from somewhere, but it wasn't from like directly in that box. That energy came from somewhere like light years away, and it just teleported there, and we wouldn't really know. We can't even answer like the fullness of our consciousness. So what, you know, what's the chance that that we're wrong here? You don't know until you find out, you know? The you know that graph, like the, you know, you find out and then the other axis, you know? It's like that graph. You F around, the more you F around, the more you find out. I think it's good that not everything is set in stone. It gives some sort of like zest to life, right? But just know that your emotions are valid. That the abyss is gonna feel frustrating sometimes. That the unknown isn't always on your side. And that sometimes justice is never served. Like what goes around comes back around, right? But sometimes that planet that you wanted to get revenge on ends up orbiting another planet and is actually doing fine. But just know that because that's a capability, that's a possibility, because that's allowed in this universe, it's allowed for you too. Who knows what my purpose is today? Because my purpose today could have been, well, holy cow, oh my gosh, that purple is Snake. And then, oh my, that's shooting, oh my gosh, I gotta dodge. Like, that could have been my purpose today. Is it? I don't know. Oh my god, I got a speed pot. Well, I need 30 speeds max. Oh man, it's gonna take forever. Whoa, oh. It could have been like, oh snap, I didn't get hit by that guy. That's pretty cool. Oh, attack pot. Wow, I'm only getting attack pots. That sucks. Oh, I can't trade the attack pots away. I'm doing an NPE. That's pretty lame. Man. You know, it could be as boring as that. But it's not. At any cost, it's fine. I just want to take this time to shout out my Discord to exclamation mark Discord and enjoy my Discord and then hi, yeah, well. So yeah. If there's anything we know about consciousness or truth, is that it changes over time. And sometimes the words we don't want to hear are the same words that we needed. And it's easy to say from like a platform, right? Oh yeah, you know. What would you know? Maybe you're the one hurting people. There's a chance, right? There's a chance. And what if one day I'll be in the same position where I'm like, I really messed up. Actually able to see the result of my actions and see like, well, you know, unfortunately, things aren't so easy anymore, are they? And that's okay. I am willing to deal with that, even if it seems dumb and impossible. Because later on in life, I think things are going to get even harder. And I want to be prepared for that. Like having to watch that guy get the freaking wand, and I wanted the wand. That's the only reason why I went into the blue. You know, I'm gonna be honest. I've had my own fair share. I've had my own fair share. So I'm happy to be like, it's kind of like there were times where I was drowning. All right, I was literally drowning. So while I am currently not drowning, I'll take this time and accept that and be happy that I am literally not drowning right now. So it's a stupid perspective because it's like, well, you know, you're usually not drowning, so how does that have any purpose? There were times where it felt like I was always drowning. And that's a, oh my gosh, I'm nearly got popped. Oh, oh, tragic. So yeah, you know, there were definitely times I felt like I'm just in the water. and I don't know how to swim. But I mean, literally, there was actually a time I almost drowned, and I wouldn't have been here. But there was a lifeguard, and the lifeguard helped me. And in my panic, I had to just accept that. I just had to accept somebody was gonna save me, because that's exactly what I wanted. And some people live just to save other people. Get the heck out of here. They're employed for that. And who knows? You know, maybe their purpose was decided before them. In a way, I had this theory that, yeah, it was. Because it's like a fork. Before that fork was made, there was the mold of the fork. Oh my gosh! And maybe that mold wasn't around always, like since the dawn of time. But there was probably at one point where that mold was first incepted, first created. And they didn't know the scope of what would happen after, but they did it anyway. And what ended up now is, you know, cutlery sets. So the forks are put alongside with the knives and the spoons and all that. I didn't get anything. I literally thought I got something, and then the dungeon was covering it. Unfortunately. Rest might be just as important as work. Maybe that's why some people opt to rest all the time instead of work. But the question then is, what determines value? Take a look at torture. Some people want torture, some people avoid torture, and some people torture. Well, what's the point, right? It really depends on who you ask and what day it is. We'll never know if today we want torture or today we want pleasure. Until we figure that out. Oh my gosh. The skin looks terrible now. And this, yeah. Just looks bad now. Some days we'll feel tortured by rest, and some days we'll be tortured by work. But there's a chance that you'll be so lucky that you won't. You'll never feel that. Who knows if you'll die in your sleep or if you die to a car, you die in the street, you die at the bar. You'll live for the sheep, you'll live for the tar. You'll live for who you meet, or you'll live for the stars. Walking means shifting your weight from one foot to the other. Think about that. I wonder if the chest counts as a boss enemy. I am getting annihilated. Destroyed. Oh yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed, but on Twitch, I changed. Oh, I got a tier 10. I changed my my PFP to the OG one. Rat. Oh shit! Oh rat! Oh, oh! Did it die? It almost looked like it disappeared. Just kind of lame. Ow! 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 Ow. 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 Easy. Ooh, C-dubs. Ooh, T-room. Ooh, no attack pods. Don't die. Oh, hey. Thank you for the Prime sub. How you been? What the heck? Sound like somebody hit my window. Is the multi-stream thing working or not? Oh, duo. And he's going back. Nope. F to the run. Rest in peace. That bacteria do be like that. Today I was having a talk about purpose. What's the purpose of bacteria? Or better yet, what's the purpose of strep throat? Because, you know, oh, bacteria, you know, it's good for your gut, it's good for your mouth, you know, so it's good. But why the heck do we need that, like, trash bacteria? That's kind of probably how birds are like, or some animals are like, what's the freaking purpose of these humans cutting down our forests? It's perspective. What's the purpose of perspective? Oh, I don't know if I covered that. I don't even think I talked about that yet. What's the purpose of perspective? Or what's the purpose of purpose? I feel like what's the purpose of purpose is easier to explain than what's the purpose of perspective. Because you can say, well, the purpose of purpose is to put things to things so that you can get different results from a universe of possibilities. It creates possibilities. Purpose. And it also denies the possibilities of other things, so then it becomes consistent. But what's the purpose of perspective? Okie dokie. See you later if you're leaving. Peace. Hope you feel better. So what is the purpose of perspective? If perspective only causes pain, maybe perspective is to give more things purpose. And perhaps that's one of the problems with perspective, is that we created so much purpose, we don't even know what to do with it all. And I think that's probably what happened in the first place to create perspective, is that there was so much possibilities, we didn't even consider the fact that there should be less possibilities. Thus entropy and enthalpy and then etc. man, this exaltation thing would have been good on another day when I hadn't ate it. Dang it. Oh, man. Oh, man. Toxic. No, I'm late to that too. Tragic. I'm not. I feel like a lot of things are just multi-purpose, right? So what's the purpose of light? Is it to be seen? Is it to go fast? I think we could be going on forever and ever about what the purpose of certain things are, even why there is purpose. And I think that's the point, is that a lot of things are just almost infinite in the amount of questions and answers you can pose for them. Depending on some people, that might be overwhelming. Depending on others, it might be like, well, you know, this is underwhelming. What does that have to do with anything? So, it's always good to try. But that's my thing. I try too much sometimes. So we all have our own problems. How the heck did I say Ico? Oh, has a chance to drop Ice Cave. Also, hello. Welcome. Yeah, so I had no idea because nothing has happened from these so far. I've just been really unlucky. I got one white bag this stream though. I got a thing. 50-50. Alright, so I think I've done like 3 of these, so I'm at 1 out of 8. It was like a 1 out of 8 chance. I'm in this timeline right now. So let's just see. But you don't seem sure. You said like. So there's a chance it's not 50-50. The chance has a chance. Alright, 3, 2, 1, bam, 50-50. Oh, you said Ice Cave? No, it's Ice Tomb. Ice Tomb is OP. I like the Ice Tomb. I'm good at them. They're super dangerous though. It's okay. It's okay. You had good intentions. In fact, you told me that this was gonna happen at all. You basically brought good luck to the stream. To me. I appreciate it. There should be more ice dungeons. Oh my gosh! Not just like for the reason of ice, I guess you could say, but for... Oh my gosh! The thought that, Oh... That, it's a boss rush, in a sense. Of another boss. Like, you could just go straight to the boss. Kind of like Puppet Master's Encore, I guess you could say. And the court dungeons in general. They're kind of like that. But just the idea that they have like a theme sounds real cool. Like Ice Tomb from a Sandy Tomb of the Ancients. Or like a, what's a good boss? Like, old boss. Because it was like Battle for the Nexus. But there should be one more Dr. Terrible thing. Because Dr. Terrible was Dr. Terrible in the Mad Lab, but he was also the beekeeper in the nest. So what if there was like a sand scarab Dr. Terrible, or like he's in a spaceship. What if Dr. Terrible is Commander Calbrick? No, there's no way. You know, lore. Just more lore dungeons. Lungeons. Alright, I'm just gonna drop my pets over there. And they got it. Whoa, extreme dodge nation. I did that. Got him. Oh my gosh! Oh! He said, I'll show you a meltdown. Oh my gosh. The only way I was getting out of that was like if I was a Kensei or a Trickster. There was no way. No way. He had all exits covered. Ooh, it's not freaking winter. I like that. I gotta say though, if this is like your first day coming back to Realm in 8 years and you're like, what the heck is this? Like, what are they doing? Is this permanent? That'll be funny. Oh, I tried to be cheeky. Yeah, I don't know if that guy was in there, but I don't know. Maybe I'm not creative enough to decide of a what? Uh, Maybe I haven't got it all planned out for a whole nother dungeon to have ice tomb physics or something. But or not even the physics, boss rush. But it would be dope. Everybody loves boss rushes. Oh, when did that happen? Alright, this time I'm hoping Polaris does not want to melt me. And that I can get Glacius from the corner again. Dang, they really don't like me. Are there any healers? No. There's a bard though. Where's the bard at though? Nice, nice, nice. OP. Gotta stay far away from him. No shots. Alright, I'm gonna go here. So when he comes around. Oh no, he's coming. Oh my goodness. I'm out. Oh my gosh. I'm alive. 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 Whew. Spook. But yeah, he's the only real spooky one besides getting popped by the other guy. Forgot his name. Glacius? Ooh, that's not good. Nice. Oh, where's the unknown boss? I see. Dang, I got 0 from everything else? That's unfortunate. Ooh, this boss with the physics. The ice physics. accent. Or sleepiness, depends on how you look at it. Oh, there is a chest. I was like, what even is this event? Ooh. Alright, break time. I need food. And then I'm going to play some Brawlhalla. In a separate stream, you could say. So yeah. Okie dokie. See you later.